Friends. It's late night with DAGR. It's a little short and sweet video tonight on Late Night in the Heartland featuring Jaren from Jarenism. Jaren's a really good guy. I have followed him in the past. I actually chatted with him on some of his lives about my history with crypto. He's very knowledgeable. I just wish we would have had him or someone like him to help us back then. And unfortunately, my family and I all got scammed. I got scammed multiple times, and yeah. So yeah, sometimes you put the trust in people and they bite you in the ass, but then you learn. You learn. Sure would be nice to have 4.2 Bitcoin right now, but fortunately I don't have that or much of anything right now. But that's okay. I feel great. Probably the best I've ever been. Uh, some people say minimalism is good, and that's what I'm living right now. So living the minimalism lifestyle. I got my new poppy today at when I went to Veterans Outreach. Signed up to go see the hockey game. They're doing a with the 67s game. They're doing a Remembrance Day ceremony on the 12th. So a bunch of me veterans myself will be attending the game. So it should be a good game. Hopefully, it's been a while since we've seen an OHL game. The last time I seen one live was when my buddy was playing for the Pete's. Or was it the Pete's or the? Was that the Pete's or the? I think I saw him with the Pete's, and but the last time would have been with the Ice Dogs. And it's funny thing is, it's the Ice Dogs that are playing. Unfortunately, they're not the Mississauga Ice Dogs anymore. The Niagara, I believe they're the Niagara Falls Ice Dogs or Niagara Ice Dogs. So pretty interesting. They used to be owned by Don Cherry, a famous Canadian icon, very iconic. If you follow hockey, which Jeff and I did. I don't really follow it too much now. But yeah, so Jaren's awesome. I seen a lot of lives with him, with Alex Stein over the years. I mentioned in the chat, I actually subbed to Alex's premium channel. Just he had a like an interview with I forget her name. I should have looked up on my email because she actually emailed me. She beat cancer. Doctor, I forget her name. I mentioned her to Jeff before. I don't know if you ever tried to contact her. I mean, if you got on Alex, she was on Alex Stein's show. I'm sure she would go on Jeff's show. Not like some of the other shows that wouldn't go on with him. You know, like that doctor there that was on that Kristen Sanity love in there with Stewie Peters. But yeah, so yeah, I'm kind of disappointed it didn't go very long on YouTube, but it was a great show all around. Unfortunately, nothing on Rockfin that I can show on the big screen, so I can only show what they played on YouTube. I was watching it on the Evangelical Hour, so that's where I was watching tonight and chatting with the cousins. So today, Real made his famous beer. Well, I don't know if it's famous beer ham or whatever. We got here late. It was already done, and half the ham that was left was all burnt. It was all pretty rough shape. So, but the other half's pretty good. Not much on the plate, but lots of potatoes. I should say his French onion soup is much better. So I bought some mozzarella, and I got the grater from downstairs. I don't have a grater anymore, so I'm going to make some of those. Make some of that tomorrow once I have thought. Oh, that tastes good, just like a creamsicle. So let's get things rolling here. I think it was only about 40 some minutes. So let's check it out. Jeff with Jaren. Should be a good show. Let's watch it the second time, and they say sometimes it's better the second time. That's why Jeff does two countdowns. It's always better the second time, like I just said. Hopefully it's not too late for some of the cousins to join in.
Well, hello and welcome. We are live from the Heartland, and so are you.
We
Sorry
are
for that
indeed.
little extra delay. Had just a tiny little
We
issue
are indeed.
with
We are
Rockland
live.
connecting
Late
up,
night
and
with
we are
DAGR.
live on our main go-to platform tonight.
The one that doesn't show up on my big screen. Wah wah. They better fix that soon. Come on, Rockman, get with the
platform and
program.
on the Watchtower YouTube platform, and of course Twitter as well, Twitch, and also on Odyssey. Nice to see Mind Over Magic. Nice to see Super
Obviously
Galactic.
not, because
Nice to see DAGR, Ruby.
Hey!
And I believe Ruby has already weighed in.
I can't. They don't show the live Odyssey, the live DAGR, the live Odyssey on my
Thank you
Roku
so much,
TV. I wish they
Ruby.
did, but
And
it's all
David McDonald
after the fact stuff.
night, was it last night? Night before last with a $10 tip. Says he saw some cat eyes in the mirror.
I did too. I took a
during the
screenshot of that. I was going to post it on my
Halloween
Instagram.
program. So
It was
thanks so
creepy.
much for that. We really appreciate it. And we got a special night tonight. We have Jaron from Jaronism in the house. Really looking forward to that one. It's going to be a very interesting time, a very good time. And we're looking forward to trying to do, if we can, some YouTube friendly content. We'll see how long we can.
Not very long, unfortunately.
Most of you know who Jaron is.
I do.
Most of you know what Jaron's all about.
Smart guy.
I do, but I don't. So I'm looking forward to
finding
out more about
We were
him.
doing a show on
I'm
crypto
looking
one
forward to
night.
having a free-ranging
Actually, he does a
and
lot of
wide-ranging
consulting on crypto, and I
conversation
talked
tonight.
about it in my
There's not enough
situation, and
conversation
unfortunately, he couldn't help
going
me.
on.
It's
And
just
without
too bad
any
that
further delay, let me welcome
my
in
family and I didn't
a man that I think I can call my
have someone
friend.
like
His
him
name
to
is
help
Jaron.
us,
He's
or
from
we
the
wouldn't have
Jaronism
lost all our
channel,
crypto.
and
So
there he is, ladies and
we
gentlemen.
learned the hard way.
Oh, I see now I'm going to be small in your picture. That's probably the problem.
Looks like you're a little smaller, but you're larger than life, Jaron, so it doesn't matter.
Of course. All right, I'm going to fix your little shape, and I'm going to try to go live on my channel. We're going to be simulcasting. That'll work.
Excellent, excellent. What's the fancy term for that? There's another fancy term. They
It's not
Same-
simulcast?
Simulate?
People used to always say it, and I can't remember what it was called. But it's basically just broadcasting each on your same channel at the same time.
That works.
But anyway.
That sounds very official right there. I would go with that one.
It does sound good. Hey, were you at the recent Flattoberfest?
I was not. I've never been to one because it's on the East Coast, and I'm over here on the West Coast. So I just haven't been to one, and then we had a baby 2 years ago, so I had an excuse.
West Coast,
Um,
however they
supposed
do
to
it.
be able to go these last 2 years. So next year's supposed to
Look at
be
that.
in Vegas.
West Coast.
Really?
Yeah, so I'll have to get that one.
Jaron, what would happen?
Party
if I
at
showed up at
Vegas.
Flattoberfest?
People would love you.
You really think so?
Well, they let me there, so.
Well, I think sometimes I wonder if I'd have to fight my way out.
I think you'll be okay. I think you can enjoy yourself. It's a
That'd be the
very, good group
Flattoberfest
of
to go to
like-minded
in
people,
Vegas.
and there's just no, I don't know, no drama, which is
Save
rare
the
for
drama
those
for your
drama
mama.
going on in the YouTube world.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Jaron, for the few people that don't know who you are, can you tell everybody
Who you are.
And I want to know this one. Can you tell us what Jaronism is?
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm on Rockman now. I was on YouTube. I'm still on YouTube, but you know it is
Barely.
censored and shadow banned. And yeah, I talk a lot about the shape of the Earth, which is also something that they're not friends of. So you can't find it in search. If you search flat Earth, you're just going to find a bunch of garbage.
Right.
So yeah, came over with Rockman last year. I've enjoyed it. I like that they don't take down our stuff. Pretty much let us speak, which is great. Only thing is, obviously, we're probably speaking to the choir. We're preaching to the choir over here. Whereas at YouTube, at least you're able to get some new eyes on you. So it's good to keep YouTube around if you can. So that's where you can find
Try
me.
your
Jaron
best.
is the name of the channel on both. And as far as the name, when my wife and I kind of became disillusioned with religion, we kind of decided to go back from the very beginning. We said we're just going to wipe the
Most
slate
smart
clean.
people
We don't
do.
have any beliefs unless we can prove it for ourselves. That was kind of our
Exactly.
thought process going in. And
But you can't.
so the idea of picking a channel name was, I was kind of like trying to think of something, and then I thought of, well, it's my own religion, right? I think we got too caught up in believing what every other man tells us to believe. And nobody believes beliefs anymore at all.
That's right.
What they come to on their own, right? So
Right.
like, this pastor told me, this priest told me, this school teacher told me, this professor told me, or this scientist told me. And people aren't comfortable in their own skin anymore to just
No.
say, no, I don't believe that. And
I
that
do.
was
I
really
don't
where
believe
was
it.
going, because there were so many things like atoms, what's inside of an atom.
Elite
I
at.
just thought it was hilarious because that we're told that the atom is the smallest thing.
I thought neutrino was.
And then they
but
tell you
that's
what's
just
inside
me.
it. Well, that all of a sudden is a problem. It's like, well, isn't an atom something that
Yeah,
can't
that
be divided?
neutrino
Like,
thing
yes.
in
So then how are you
Sudbury.
going to tell me what's inside it?
Looking for
So
neutrinos.
little things like that I don't hear anybody say, because heaven forbid that's a big no-no, is to question science. How dare you? And I wanted to be able to do those things.
I
wanted to be
question
able to
everything.
Question the things I want, and then if it is
Right.
so apparent the answer, then bring it to me. Show
Bring
me
it.
if that's the answer. You have some scientists step up and say, "Here's why you're wrong about this," or "The shape of the Earth. Here's why you're wrong." And so that's what it is. It's Jaredism. So you would be Jeffism, because your beliefs are your own
Jeffism.
religion.
DAGRism?
It's just you. It's your beliefs. It's how I think we should go through life. We got caught up in this. We have to be in this group or that group. And I think when you're in a group, I don't know if you know this, but I went to a all-boys Catholic Jesuit high school. Graduated from there in 1998. And I became
The
disillusioned.
Jesuits
because I was
created
raised
Catholic
Christian.
Church or
Then I
Catholic
went
Church.
to school.
Catholic
And
school.
they started teaching
So they
me
could
biology
program you
and
for the first
chemistry
7 years of
and
your
Big
life
Bang
when your
evolution.
brain is
And
in
then right after that, I
theta.
would have religious studies class. So I said,
Check
this
out Dr.
ridiculous.
Bruce
Why are they teaching me
Lipton.
both? And I kind of got disillusioned with
He
school
can
there.
explain a lot better than I
Wow.
can.
But now, looking back, I think it was a huge benefit because I see what the Jesuits are up to. What they're up to is they want you in a belief system. And they don't even care.
They want to mind F
They
you.
don't
That's what
care
they
if you get
want.
hooked into the science side, or they don't
They
care if
said
you
if-
get hooked into the religious side.
Their
Either of
quote
those
was,
people,
"Give me a
don't have
child
beliefs.
for the
Both of
first
those
7
people
years
are
and I'll
usually
show you the
controlled.
man."
Both of those people
when he's, I think,
are
30.
predictable.
So
So
that
they know
because
exactly
they
how you're gonna
program
act in
them.
certain situations,
So
exactly how
basically,
you're going to believe. And so
Jeff's
the
helping with the
scariest thing for,
deprogram
I think, the
that
powers
they
that should not be
got into
is
us.
people in the middle. This is why they have left versus right. Because no matter who you are, you're going to have some element of your belief system that matches more one or the other. So then you associate your side with that, right? So even though we all hate that left-right paradigm, if I were to ask you, you would say, "Oh, you're more on the right." It's like, I'm more on the right. But we hate that left-right kind of deal, right? But that once you assign yourself to one of those sides, you kind of have your beliefs decided for you. Because you
Audrey's
can't
ready.
be on the right and be pro-abortion. It just doesn't go well for you, right? So there's like, you have to be what they tell you to be. And I think the scarier position is to be in the middle. So I like being there. I don't like to really adopt something and just say, "Oh, this is 100% true," because we should always be open to new information coming in, right? There's constantly new information. It's kind of hard to find nowadays because a lot of people just spit the same old mainstream nonsense. But that's why I like your show. My wife and I listen to your show. And it's because you're going to always present something new, something interesting that we didn't really get. And there's so many things that you've shown us that we're just like, you're saying the same thing we are. How did I miss this? How did we miss this? And you also are very good at your thumbnails and your titles. Because so many times I've seen your title, I'm like, "Oh, shit, what's Jeff going to..." Like, one's that Jesus is real. I'm like, "Oh, boy, here we go." And then the next one was, what'd you say the other
Jesus
day?
is not real.
The earth isn't flat. I'm like, "Oh, boy, now what's this guy going to say?" But then you made points that I'm like, "Oh, I agree with that. I agree with that." It's hard to just state that. I wish if I could do it all over again, I would just remain a globe skeptic. Just because the word flat earth has obviously been taught to people as the dumbest belief you can have. Which again, if you know anything about what we've been taught in this government and the lies we've been told, whatever they've told you is the dumbest belief is probably the smartest.
That's right.
They're just, everything's so upside down and backwards that it wouldn't surprise me if smoking was good for you. Just wouldn't-
It's a complete
Definitely not
inversion,
good.
and intentionally so. And one thing that you'll do that I do, and not many people do it, and my wife wishes that I didn't do it, but sometimes I've noticed you'll just get so fed up with an individual and some of the things that they're saying and doing that you'll actually take to the air and name the individual and say, "This is nonsense. You got to stop." If they'll talk to you, you'll talk to them. If they won't, you'll still go on and talk about it. And I will do that. And it's not something that I really like doing. I'd love to just talk to people and work things out, but it doesn't seem to be possible. But a lot of people say, "Oh, you shouldn't do that. You're creating drama. You're cutting people down."
I like
What
the
is your
drama.
thought process as you go through
Bring it
consider
on.
something like that?
So I don't think that I know of that. If you're not talking about somebody like a Neil deGrasse Tyson or something like this, if you're talking about another YouTuber, basically.
Save the drama for your mom.
Yeah, I mean,
That's all I
there's been
say.
times where, I don't want to name names and give free publicity, but you've had shows about this person's gone off the rails, they've lost it, blah blah blah.
So always when that happens, I'm always on the defensive. What I mean by that is I don't care what other people do on their channels. YouTube is meant to be for the person who's doing the broadcasting, right?
Exactly.
And the way you can find out whether your ideas have any merit or whether people like it is you get up there, you speak your mind, and then
Do
people
what I
either follow
want.
your channel or they don't. So I don't mind with people want to talk Christianity, people want to talk globe earth. I don't care. They don't even bother me. Just go over to your side and do your thing. But when it becomes a problem is when everybody has to attack you for what you're saying, which frustrates me because if you're going to attack
all the
me, you better
trolls.
bring good evidence.
The
To
receipts.
where I look at what you're saying and go, oh man, the guy's got a point. But every time I'm attacked, it's always because somebody's strawmanning you or somebody's making something up. Recently, somebody's on the channel calling me an atheist, and it's like, don't do that because what you're doing is you're speaking to your audience who's religious, and you're calling me an atheist. Well,
Yeah.
immediately they hate me, and they're not
Yeah.
even giving me a chance to say my piece. I'm not an
That's
atheist at all. You know, I
Yeah.
believe that there is a creator. So things like
Me
that.
too,
And then
Jaron.
when that happens too much, I just have to, I have to
Call them out
So,
for sure.
it's maybe a personal problem. I get that people are like, oh, why don't you just ignore it? Just ignore it, right? And I probably should, but at the same time, it's very difficult for me to do. It's very difficult if somebody's going to attack me at least because it's hard enough. I'm a flat earther for goodness sakes, right? So it's hard enough to be in the position I'm in. And lately, I've been kind of going hard against the Bible and Christianity for a specific reason that's not really working out well. But what I mean by that is I'm almost demonizing my
Never
own
goes
audience,
well.
and I know that. But the truth is more important to me than maintaining an audience or building an audience, and I don't think that's true for many people. I think many people on YouTube will cater to their audience, will start to kind of puff smoke up their ass, kind of give them what they want, and I understand.
I don't
a
like
smart
doing
move
that
if you're
either.
Looking for donations and things like that, that's smart. Not smart is what I do, which is go anti-science,
Bash
go
'em.
anti-Bible.
That's
Because
right.
that's the two camps that people are pushed into, right? So
Yeah.
how many people are actually in the middle that want to
Bash
listen
them all.
bash both those sides? Very, very few.
Bash
so I'm
fest.
actually lucky at the people that I even have watching me that I can still get 8,000-9,000 a stream. Because it used to be more than that, but then when you piss people off, they just get frustrated. They don't want to watch you anymore. So that tells me too that people want their beliefs reinforced more than anything, right?
That's
Well,
right.
Jaron, you better be careful, or you'll wind up where I am, outstanding in your own field, all by yourself.
That's what I was going to say. Jaron and Jeff finally together, together at last. No, because that's what I respect about you is I know that what you're doing is not helping your numbers. I know that it's not going to make you rich. I know that it's not going to make you a friend of most people. So
You
that's
got
the
a
beliefs that
friend
you're doing,
in
your
me.
own beliefs. You're not blowing smoke up people's ass. You're not. And again, you're a former pastor, so the kind of people too that I don't like are the people out there who say, oh, you just don't want to look into the other side, or you just, it's like, no, we already changed our opinions.
Right.
I was already a believer in the globe. I was already a Christian.
Yeah,
And so I come
exactly.
out, now the people that go, yes,
I
those
was a
people have been
Christian
stuck in their
and a
belief
believer in the
systems
globe as well.
forever. And they're trying to act like you're the one who can't see the truth. No, I already changed my position. I'm willing to change it again too. My biggest thing about the Christianity right now is simply this: if you boil it down to one thing,
Christian
It's-
sanity.
is the God of the Old Testament worship worthy? Is the God of the Old Testament somebody that you would think with your morals should be worshipped? And in my mind,
No.
the absolute answer, without a doubt, is no. So if that's the
Right.
case, then you look at the New Testament, you have to ask yourself, well, is Jesus that God? Because if he is, then I dismiss Jesus outright. If he's not, well, then the problem becomes the Bible is not true then, because the Bible is trying to associate them together. It's the New Testament, the Old Testament. So that kind of leaves me in a place where I'm like, no, I don't think that there's any way to reconcile that. So when people want to come at me and they want to say, you don't understand the Bible, you're reading it out of context, I'm like, time out. Just explain to me why I'm wrong about the God of the Old Testament being a moral person. Now, that guy made by Jim Bob, who is like an Orthodox Christian, he's been going at me and saying over and over again that we don't have the right to question God. And I'm like, hold on a second. I said, with our morals, with morality, that I
Question
think
anything you
God gave,
want.
I don't have the right to look at a book and say this does not match the morals that I was given, and therefore this isn't God. Like, that's our only defense. What else do we have, right? If somebody gives us a book and tells us this is written by God, well, your only choice to figure out whether it is or isn't is pretty much to look into it, see what they're saying God did, and then decide for yourself whether or not that matches the morals that you feel like are inside you. So I always hear from everybody, how would you know what's good and bad if you look into the Bible? It's like, you've never read the Bible if you say that. You know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in there that just shouldn't be in there. And there's, advocating for slavery and how to sell your daughter into sex slavery and killing of babies and
All the nice
killing
stuff.
of nations. And certainly seems like the God of the Old Testament is racist and has a favorite people and is jealous. All kinds
A little
of
bit
things
of
that don't jive
favoritism,
with
that's
the
for
Lord.
sure.
There's no God that's jealous.
When they call them the
Makes sense.
chosen people.
The
Jared,
No.
have you ever asked the question, is Jesus worthy of worship?
Ooh, definitely
Yeah, and I mean,
not.
yeah, I guess no for a couple main reasons. I mean, he says that if I don't love him more than I love my mother and father, or my son and daughter, then I'm not worthy of him. So right away off the bat, anybody who says no, I do love Jesus, then I think that person needs to probably head towards a mental institute because
Yeah, I
your mother
agree.
gave birth to you, clothed you,
Cray
fed you,
cray,
housed you,
Christian
and you've never met the other guy.
sanity.
So,
Oh.
To me, it's like a no-brainer. And why would God expect that? That's a ridiculous expectation. And then, Jesus in Revelation saying he'll kill some girls' children. You seen that, right? Revelation 2. So,
He'll
that's
kill
not very-
all the
very sane.
Gentiles,
Oh, he never, said a bad
including
word.
you,
And
you
then you
Christian
just have
sane
the
people.
problem with him saying, turn the other cheek, and love your enemies. But then he tells everybody, I'm coming back to destroy all my enemies. Well,
He is.
So,
Aaron, would it surprise you if I told you I was going back to church this coming Sunday?
No, because I know you were going. You're looking for a sidewalk, I know.
Yeah, I got this sign here, and it says, Jesus kills,
Prove me wrong.
prove me wrong.
That's
gonna
a
go over
cool
real well.
sign. I'm gonna make one of those.
And I've got a table set up there. Gonna have
Jesus
some coffee.
kills. Prove me wrong.
I might even put some donuts up there, Jerem, because Christians love donuts.
They do.
And I'll invite
I
him
thought
to
that
come
was
in
cops.
and sit down and have a little talk. And I've got a hot, sexy camera person that's gonna
That I don't have.
video it for
Looking
us.
for a hot, sexy
How do you
camera
think
person.
that'll go?
I don't think well. But
No?
it might not be very, I don't know how confrontational they'll be. It's not the Westboro Baptist Church, so I don't know. The good thing is about most Christians is that most Christians are good people. And I believe that they're good people inside. Now, because of their belief and their need to protect it and stand up for it, sometimes they come across as terrible. The ones who told me I'm going to go to hell are these ones. But recently I did a show on my channel called "Should I?" Call and tell me why I should worship YHWH. And the amount of calls that made me just almost sick to my stomach. These are men. They're supposed to be men who call in and say, "You have to worship him because he created you." No matter, and I'm like, no matter what. Like, yeah, I'm like. What are you talking? So if God came down and started kicking little kids in the nuts,
He did something to little kids with nuts,
and, I mean, this is
but he
a
wasn't
ludicrous
kicking.
thing.
You know what I
I believe
mean?
this is a test. I believe this is part of the test while we're here.
No laying
You're
with
here
naked
because
boys and
there's a lot of
such.
lies everywhere, and if you can navigate your way through and not fall for deception, and I believe trust the God that's inside you, which I believe we each have a piece of God inside of us.
That's
that
right. The
morality,
God dagger.
Even if you think of Pinocchio. Pinocchio is a great little allegory for being a puppet. If you're a puppet on strings, you don't have your own. You're not a real boy. And then what you do is when you learn to trust the conscience,
Pulling the
that's inside you,
strings.
which is Jiminy Cricket, JC, Jesus Christ. It's kind of the same.
That
thing.
was
It's kind of
cool.
allegories.
JC, Jiminy
trust that voice
Cricket.
inside
That
you,
was beauty.
Then I believe that you
The
become
power of Jiminy
a real
Cricket
person and
compels
see
you. The
truth.
power of
Let me ask you
Jiminy
this is
Cricket
something I
compels
kind of,
you.
And by the way, Revelation 19:5 says that Jesus is coming back to kill every Gentile, just so you know.
Yeah, I've heard that. I heard you say that. Here's my thought, though. Do you think there's any chance, and I don't know why I believe this because it's not really based on evidence, maybe a little bit, but is there any chance that Jesus was a person who came, who spoke out against the Old Testament
Hasn't
God,
come in 2,000 years.
was against that God, telling people the kingdom of God is inside you, and that we are all members of God, and then the Jews got very upset at that because he's basically spitting on their God, so they killed him, and then they co-opted him, and basically said, let's make this guy God on earth, so that basically here's what happens if you did that. If
Wow,
you did
no
that,
hitter.
If the Jews did that, then you would have a choice: either worship YHWH, in which case you are worshiping
YHWH.
the Jewish God, and if they told you to go spread the word, well, that's what happened, right? The Catholics are the one who brought the word to the new world. So basically, you have Catholics spreading the word of the Jewish God, and then if people chose instead to worship God, Jesus, well, then they go directly against the God of the Old Testament, who says there is no other God but me. I am the only God. So in essence, it kind of fulfills the Jewish idea, which is you're sinning because you're going against the rules of God, which are clearly in the Old Testament. So if you're spreading the Old Testament, aren't you reading the rules that say, love no, worship no God but me? I am one. I'll never be another. I'll never change. I mean, the God of the Old Testament was vindictive, jealous, murderous, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
He was.
And then Jesus comes, who's the complete opposite. And yet, Christians tell me they're the same people. The only people who tell me they're different is Jewish people.
Well, Jared, I would question if Jesus really is, pardon me, the exact opposite of, Yahweh, because Jesus even said, and I'll have to look up the reference, I've got it written down. Mm-hmm. Jesus said, all of my enemies that will not follow me, bring them here and slay them before me.
Mm.
And then Jesus said, I didn't come to bring peace, I came to bring a sword. And then he gave the discussion about how he was going to break up families. And then he said in Revelation
Prince of
19:5,
Pieces, not
the
Prince
words
of
Christ
Peace.
in red, which I would say is the blood red of children, but that's just me giving you an opinion. He says in Revelation 19:15, if you look it up in the Greek, Jesus is coming back to destroy the nations. That word nations in Greek means the nations as opposed to Israel. So everybody that's not Israel, Jesus is coming back to destroy, which I find very ironic because those are the people that are worshiping him. So is he really that much different than the Old Testament God? And I think that I can prove to you from the text alone, and that's a problem because Christians don't believe the text. Right. I think I can prove to you irrefutably from the text
Their
that
script.
Jesus is Yahweh.
And I think that they would have tried to write it that way. So, I mean, for me, I just at this point have to admit that there's no way a creator God would write a book. If he did, the book would be much different. It would be far different. So to me, I pretty much chalk the whole thing up to being a deception. I mean, Romans 13 is probably the number one thing for me that caught me right from the beginning. Was it clearly says that all government is placed there by God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That alone, anybody who believes that, and they'll try and dance around it and make up things and say. And one of the crazy things about that verse is you always go to the Bible.
That's where the Christians saying
there's not a.
They don't believe their own book.
There's not. They're all the same.
Yeah, sometimes they'll say like the higher powers. Sometimes it'll say government. But regardless, you can read and know exactly what it's talking about. It's saying that any governor, anybody put into any human authority, you are to respect that human authority, or you go against God, and that's straight horseshit.
Have you ever said that to a Christian person that says they believe the Bible?
Absolutely, and they still fight. They still fight you. They'll say you don't understand the context. He was talking to the people back then. I'm like, then why is it scripture? Why would it be included?
I had a conversation very similar to that with a person that was a speaker at the last Flattoberfest, and they say they believe the Bible, but you show them the text, and they say no, it doesn't mean that. Right. You're interpreting it wrong. But wait a minute. The Bible itself says it is of no private interpretation. You're just supposed to read what the language says. So I get
you can bring up Romans 13. There's no way that you can read it any other way. It's just not possible.
And what bothers me, Jaron, is that I have more faith in the text than Christians do. And you can give me an answer to this. I think I might know the answer. Why aren't any of them willing to come on my channel or have me on their channel and just have a straight up and I want a debate. I just want a dialectic discussion. Here's what I think Romans 13 is saying. You show what you think Romans 13 is saying. I question you, you question me. Let the people decide. Why can't we do that? YouTube is supposed to foster communication, but all it's done is foster didactic, arrogant assholes that just want to get on and say what they believe and have people accept it.
Yeah, no, because I guess there's no excuse. I mean, what can somebody really say? You have to make something up, and they know they're going to be called out for it. So it has to go to, well, you don't know what it's about, or we don't know God's way, we don't know why it's there.
Know.
Everything isn't an answer for me that's going to make me believe. I mean, that is clearly written by governments. It says in there, pay taxes to who taxes is due. That's all it says. So what if the government came
tax
collectors,
the same people that wrote the Bible.
They have no choice but to adhere to that, or you go against God. How about where it says,
You're misinterpreting it.
yeah, I'm sure. I mean, what about wearing masks? I ask Crystal all the time, did you wear a mask? Hell no. Did you get a vaccine? No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Okay. So what about this Romans 13 that says that if you go against your government, you go against God? The government was
That's
there telling you
right,
what to do.
Chris
You
Tards.
chose to make your own
You ain't
decision.
listened
And
to
in that
the
case, well, you don't
script, to
understand
your
what
book.
Paul was writing to was the people back then. Like, it doesn't say that.
Yeah.
It's clearly it's
The ones
talking
that
How do you
bent the
know
knee
Romans
were
3:6
listening.
John
But
3:16
the ones that
wasn't written
didn't.
just to the people back then.
exactly. You just
The
get
Tino
and that's the thing,
Freedomers.
the Bible becomes impossible to
You're
debunk.
not listening
If
to
you can
little
just say-
Jesus.
And that's what they do. They'll just say anything. They'll apply it to,
Kebab.
oh no, it doesn't mean that. Oh, it means it's written for a different time. Oh, we don't
Oh,
understand
yeah,
it.
that's
Oh,
just
it's
excuses.
it's mistranslated. Oh, you have to go back to the Hebrew. If you go back to the Hebrew when you show it, oh well, then you have to. So it's just a dance that you can never really win.
Yep.
And to me, if the Bible was divine, then it would be perfect. And that's how you would know that it was divine, because there would be no way to find errors. But there's more contradictions, and then you'll have
Oh,
people
yeah,
tell you
it's
that no
contradiction in terms. That's right.
What?
I know.
There's like a contradiction every page. What do you mean?
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
Stories that are ridiculous, one after the other. My favorite, I don't know which gospel it's in, but there's one where it's telling the story of Jesus feeding the 5,000. And literally the next chapter is Jesus feeding 4,000. And in both stories, the apostles act like
Oh,
they don't know
the
what's going
thousand
on.
was already
The
full.
first story,
They
they're
were
like,
full. They
"Geez,
didn't
what
need
are
to
we
be
gonna do?
fed
There's all these
anymore.
people, and we only have one basket of fish." And then the next chapter is then he goes across the water and he sees a group of 3,000. And he only had one basket, and the apostles asked him, "Jesus, whatever would we do?" It's like, "Weren't you here yesterday? Didn't you hear the story about how I fed everybody? Why would you ask me again?" But there's so many contradictions, like there is no love and fear, which I agree with, and then there's fear God. What? So am I not supposed
The
to?
fear of the Lord is the beginning of all wisdom, Jaron.
All wisdom, yes. So again,
Weird.
it's I mostly
Fear
see
and
it as
guilt,
people that are
mind
very,
control
very
matrix.
afraid. I'll use that word rather than the word I usually use on my channel. They're very afraid. They are scared to death of having eternal banishment, and so they choose instead to just say that they worship God and just say that they follow Jesus, and they don't even read the Bible. So they
You
won't
little
even read it. And they don't want to
bitches,
read it
that's
because
why.
they're afraid that you're going to be able to pick something out of
They're
it.
not divine,
You're gonna make
sovereign,
some
and
bad
free
decision to get off of it,
like
and
me.
it's going to cost
I don't go on bend and knee
eternity
to
in-
anybody's
in-
savior.
So I think that's why most, because they'll just say that they'll be afraid, and I'm like, do
I
you
ain't
realize
afraid of
that
nobody.
if we saw
No
a
little
couple,
goat curd
and
of
the husband
God.
told his wife,
rat
constantly, if you leave
bastard,
here, if you go
nothing.
look at any other man, I'm going to beat you senseless.
Yeah,
And
nice.
she ends up staying there. That's not impressive. There's nobody who's impressed by the fact that she's there. And
No,
he can't be
definitely
impressed that she
not.
loves him, and she can't be impressed that he loves her. So it's just a disaster, that situation. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
Is that you have a God who's threatening people, that he's going to burn them in hell if they don't follow his exact rules. And so these people are following his exact rules and then saying they love him. Well, that's Stockholm syndrome. That's not
Definitely.
love. That's love should be an open, and that's my whole thing about worship worthy. Is I want to choose who I worship based off of their traits, not and based off the morals that I was given. And if God gave us morals
Right
and
on.
then felt like, oh, I'll go outside those morals and those people will still love me, then I don't think he was worthy of worship. So it's really simple for me, and I don't even think it's questionable anymore. And people will try and write me. I can show you this guy from last night who wrote me and says, "You're misrepresenting Catholicism." I'm like, okay, hold on. Before we get into that, does Catholicism believe in YHWH is the God? He's like, did you read this creed? Do you know what the creed says? This, that? Like, you're not listening. This is very simple. We can be done with this conversation in 2 seconds. Because once they tell me, yes, Catholicism believes in what, then I reject him. That's it. We can be done. We don't need to go on. I'm not trying to be, let's go on and on about this every day for the rest of my life. It's very simple, and it baffles me that nobody else can just say that. That nobody else can just realize we can take our morals, we can look at what God does, and say, that's questionable. Read, Leviticus 5, when he's talking about what to do if you sin. You got to bring him a turtle dove, and then you got to break his neck in front of God. You've got to drip the blood 7 times. It's 7, not 6, not 8. God's very superstitious.
Lucky number 7, my old hockey number.
And then you have to go find a she-goat, and then put your sins on the
It
goat.
has to be a
Send the goat out, kill
she-goat.
it, and then
You
you're
mean
forgiven.
Baphomet?
Anybody who's a parent realizes right away that is not how you teach people or children or anybody how to do anything. You are
No
going to end
doubt.
up with worse people if you tell them that they can put their sins onto animals and then kill them. None of us would do that with our
It's
child.
just
Our
like
child
that
comes
kid online
curfew
talking
ring,
about
we're
what they
like,
did in
that's
the,
it. Go get a kitty cat.
at their,
Go get a cat.
you know, with
bring
the
it back to
chosen
me,
people's
and break its neck, and I want blood sprinkle on the door.
special
If anybody did that in
rituals,
life, they would
and
be
he's
arrested.
talking like it was normal.
So,
Well, at least you could have your
Little
kid
blonde
have
head
a great
kid.
Netflix
Crazy.
miniseries made about him, like the Dahmer series.
I couldn't watch that.
I couldn't either, bro. But
Yeah.
let me ask you one question before I forget.
I like the
Several times
Jeffrey
you talked
Dahmer
about
character in F
someone
is for Family.
that, that is worship worthy.
His dad
Have
was
you
a
ever
cop
considered
too.
the
It was
concept
hilarious.
that
That show was
maybe
absolutely
gods
hilarious.
don't want our worship, and have you ever asked why do we feel compelled to worship?
I do
would
not want you
say
to
that-
worship me.
I think that there's too much good in the world. Like everything that happens, as far as like the fact that it's still here, for one. I mean, like I tend to believe that there is a good God, one that is all good, that is.
I am good.
An all good God couldn't do much, right? I mean, they're just going to only be good. So I do think that you could separate yourself into 8 billion pieces, and you could experience things that a God would not even know could experience because they're all good. But I think they can step out of the timeless world into the time zone. They can create a world that we're all here. It was created, and I believe God is inside all of us. So I don't think. I know you're a deist. I'm kind of the same in the fact that God does not operate in the world other than through us, but it's our free will. So God doesn't have to do anything. So, no God's going to step in and save a child who's running in front of a car. No God's going to heal your Aunt Mary because she's sick.
Oh, I got to tell you something about that, by the way. Go ahead.
Did your Aunt Mary get healed?
No, but when we just moved into a house, and I talked about it briefly before we came on air. And Cynthia, the last thing she wants to do is tell.
I did run into a fellow veteran. Her name is Mary, and she's going to
some,
All Souls Day tonight to talk to her dad.
So she told him I used to be
I was thinking in my head, you can talk to your dad anytime. I talk to my dad all the time, but she said she had to go to church to All Souls Day just to talk to him.
He calls me up. He calls me over.
That seems Chris insane to me.
His name is, I don't want to say his name. Good guy.
Crazy.
He's got brain
sad.
cancer.
Very nice lady,
He's
but
like, I know you used to be a preacher.
she's an American veteran that lives in the
pray
building
for me?
here.
I'm thinking, oh, thanks. Thank you so
She's
much.
Canadian though, so
Thank
that's
you
why
so
she can
much.
get through.
And I tell her, and she starts cracking up. She thinks it's hilarious. I didn't think it was that funny. Not that he had brain cancer, but just that I find myself in this situation.
Right.
He's asking me to pray for him, Jaron. So what are you going to do? You're going to pray for him, right?
As long as you do it in the name of Jesus.
No, I didn't do it. I explained to him I don't do Jesus anymore. And
I hope you don't do Jesus anymore.
He goes back to the doctor today to get his brain cancer cut out. They do the pre-operation. It was actually 2 days ago. They do the pre-operation X-ray, and it's gone, Jaron. There's no brain cancer.
Wow.
So the guy doesn't have to have his operation.
I think that was
Look at you. I'm gonna ask
him thinking Jeff was praying
What
for him.
about that, bro? I mean,
And
what about that? I mean,
just
so
that the
you're gonna
positive
tell-
thinking.
no,
You
Jeff
can
Gardner's
cure
name
yourself of
is
everybody,
Gardner.
anything.
God, no, he doesn't. I
Dr.
just
Joe
don't like
Dispenza, Dr.
Right,
Bruce
there you go.
Lipton.
That's it. And
It's
that's
all
what they
about
always say to
positive
me.
mindset. You
No,
can cure
just
anything. Your
because
body can cure
or they'll come
anything.
in my chat
It's
today,
just your
Jaron,
negative
who created the
mindset.
world then? It's like,
No.
the creator.
People just
And I'm
give
like,
up.
it's not difficult.
Oh, you're
It's not
dying of
hard.
cancer. Oh
my
no.
position's very simple.
Like my dad
It's
kind of
very
gave up
straight up, and it's,
after 5 years of battling
when I
everything
come to my
else.
own- I really
He
think
kind
that
of
we're
just
in a
gave up,
test.
right?
And I
Where
really
some
think
people,
God
they
is
just don't give
choosing
up. They just think
the best
positive.
people
It's all
out of
about
us.
thinking
God,
positive,
I
knowing you
believe-
can
I
beat it, and
believe
you
in
can heal
reincarnation.
anything. It's amazing what I've learned the
I've
last
seen enough
month or
evidence
two
that tells me that
from
some
Dr.
people-
Joe Dispenza
Now,
and Dr. Bruce
we're
Lipton.
supposed
It's
to remember our
amazing what the
past
mind
and
can
maybe
do.
vaccines and- oops, I throw on YouTube.
Oops.
Maybe
You
other
already
things-
said it once before,
Yeah, come on,
Jaron.
maybe other things have been introduced that have erased that connection with the divine, possibly. Or maybe it's as simple as no matter what's thrown at us, it's really seeing which people can actually rise to the top. Because there's so many lies that come in so many different directions.
Yep.
And to just really put your foot down and say, I'm not going to fall for the words of men is.
I don't understand people can
it's really
actually
hard
believe
to
all
do.
the
It
BS
was
Bravo
the best
Sierra
that
that's
I
going
ever did.
on nowadays.
And even if everything I believe when I
So
die
many
is wrong,
NPCs, man, just
as long as I can
boggles
do it
the
myself,
mind.
I feel so much better that there's no way that the goal of life is to come here, read a book, sit and be complacent and wait for Jesus. It's
Yeah.
insanity that people think that
Hurry
that's
up and
what
wait. Yeah, like the old
goal is, that that's what
military's
God would think.
terms.
Because-
Hurry
and
up
here's the
and
thing,
wait.
My audience knows that just because you memorize something in school and repeat it doesn't make you smart. So we know that the people who get promoted through school are simply the order followers. They're
Yeah.
the ones who are unquestioning. They're the ones who become the professors who teach
Yep.
the next generation.
Just
This is kinda how
recycle
something's
everything.
gone on. We've seen it with
Regurgitate it.
doctors, we've seen it, last couple of years mostly. So if we know that, then when we look at religions, then we have to understand that the same thing must be true. That if you're just believing what you've been taught and it's what you were grown up with, and then to make this whole kind of, you put your feet in the sand and you just say, no, my religion's correct, yours is wrong. To me, and this is also quite clear, every single culture worships the same God. Every culture has a connection with the infinite. Every single person who's ever been born has
all based on the same
feeling inside them,
fictional
like, who's my
character.
creator? Was I created? And I think that alone, that question of who created me, is proof of the creator. I really think that that's put into us for a reason. Because it's not like some people ever come around and just like, oh, I never even thought about that. No, people have all thought about it. Now, some have chosen, no, we are an evolution accident that, Darwin told us all. And then some other people come into the world thinking, no, I think I was created. So once you have that feeling, then whatever culture you're brought up in is who you usually worship, right? If you're brought up as a Christian or a Protestant or a Shinto or a Buddhist or a Muslim, it's basically based on your culture. And how I know that that's true is everybody who's told me they've got some story that proves Christianity, they all see Jesus, they all see God. Jesus come and helps them in some situation, or the Bible opens to a certain page and it coincides with their life, so they believe it.
Did you hear about the guy in the porch light the other night, Jared? Did you catch that one?
No, what?
Man, I don't have a porch anymore. I wish I had a porch so I could have a porch
I
light.
guess, I think it's else.
The same dude that dodged David Weiss for a debate.
I saw that video
knew
of
that
it
Jesus was real
for
because
David
his porch
Weiss.
light turned off and on all night long.
Such
So
a
it's the God of the
clown,
Holy
David
Porch Light,
Bose.
the first
What a
church of the Holy
clown.
Porch Light.
Blessed be his name. Yeah.
Blessed be your name.
And it's the thing. I mean, I've had
That's
Muslims who
funny.
reach out to me and say, "Oh, you gotta read the Quran. The Quran is the true book." And they say, "I know that because I've seen Muhammad. He's come to me. I've seen Allah." I'm like, "Okay," and then I've seen the jinn. It's like, "Okay, yeah." And the Christians have all seen demons.
Yeah.
So I think what people have failed
Yeah.
to realize is humans are so much more impressive than we know. That I believe if I went in the garage right now and painted a pentagram and lit some candles and read the Bible backwards, Satan might come. Now that's just me conjuring that up. There's no being. There's no
Beetlejuice.
But that's how
Don't
amazing
say
we
it
are.
a third
We are able to do
time.
that. So I
You
think
know what, Jaron? Just to
yeah.
back you up on that, I was a Christian. I was casting out demons in the name of Jesus.
Mhm.
Then I got really understanding.
The
about
power of
Hebrew roots.
Jiminy
I started
Cricket
casting out in the
compels
name
you.
of Yeshua.
Mhm.
And then there was a time where I was casting out demons in the name of Jeffrey Darty. And I've even cast out demons as all that is holy and righteous is my witness. I have cast out demons in the name of Mickey Mouse.
Well,
It's intention.
He's a powerful
It's intention.
mouse.
and that's what people fail to. And so now you've got these wars between religions where they're arguing. I mean, God must be so ashamed because it's really sad to see that.
Very
basically,
sad.
everybody wants to be good. Nobody's really trying, and they believe these things just because they were taught, and they have these weird doctrines. And I grew up Catholic, and I remember
Me
one
too.
time where my sister asked my mom, "Well, the body and blood of Jesus, that's a symbol, right?" My mom's absolutely not. Absolutely, it is the actual
Jeez.
physical body and blood of Jesus, and we would like laugh at her, and she would get really upset.
Wow.
We were like 12 and 10, We just laughed.
Crazy
And then
like
one
my
time she
mother
goes
is.
to Christmas, she, like,
She's
came in there all
crazy
upset.
Chris
Everybody's
Tart.
talking about Jesus. What, you don't think Jesus is God? And I said, well, I don't think he died on the cross. He didn't rise from the dead. And she's like, she was so ashamed of me. And she said, if Jesus didn't die on the cross, I don't have a reason to live. And it's like, okay,
Wow.
what about if your kids are right here?
Yeah.
But again, this is what it does. And I
No
feel alone.
shit,
I'm like,
that's
she's a good
fucked
person,
up.
And I actually I think I'm a good person because of Christianity. Despite everything I went through, I believe that I'm better off than if I would have been raised atheist, I guess. But I don't know. You'll never know those things.
It's
Right?
hard to say.
Obviously, I was brought up to be a good person. I was a great
Pagan would have been
child
better.
until 15. I was an altar server, head altar server. I served
My dad was an
150
altar
funerals,
server
I served
too.
100 weddings. I worked inside
Even
the
got an
church with the
award
priests,
for
which
it.
taught me a lot. It showed me that they were one person on Sunday after Mass, out there shaking the hand.
Yet I
of
never
Saul,
saw him go to
people thought they were
church.
great.
He
And as soon as
was
they come to
done.
rectory, they're just regular guys. They go watch football, they curse, they get drunk. They're just regular people. And when I ask them questions like,
They get a
"You
couple
talk
cold
to
ones
God,
after
like,
mass.
does God speak to you?" They're like, "No, I just feel His presence." I'm like, "Yeah, I feel His presence too, but does He speak? Why did you become a priest?" I'm like, "Well, I'm giving up my life in exchange for, a better life in heaven." And
Bunch of morons.
I
Oh
guess it's fine.
wow.
But they would be, evil as well. You know, we would have homeless people that would come to the door, and we're supposed to call the priest, and they would come down and hand them like a $5 Jack in the Box gift card, which nowadays won't get you a fries, but back then it did pretty well. But they would, I'd call them and say, "Hey, there's a homeless guy." And he'd say, "Tell him to get out of here." Like, whoa, okay. So I kind of quickly learned that priests
Nice guys.
and in fact, they bothered me a little bit in the way that they were just weird. You know, weird guys,
Weird.
a little bit off.
Weird
And,
is a good
I didn't
term
like
for
their
them.
answers. I don't know if you know this, but the Catholic priests, when they're doing this body into blood deal, they whisper something to themselves. And I would ask them all the time, "What are you whispering to yourself?" They can't tell you. It's just, so
I didn't know that.
yeah, I don't know if anybody knows what exactly a Catholic priest whispers to themselves, and every Catholic priest does it. And I'll tell you one other story about something that caught me off guard. So my mom used to be head of liturgy and music, and so before church or after church for an hour or so, I was there in the building. So I'd run around the altar and go wherever I wanted, through the pews or whatever. And I went to the altar and I was laying underneath it, looking up at it, and I saw this little little slider thing underneath the altar. I'm like, what is that? So there's a priest walking by. I said, "Hey, Father Matt, come here, look at this." So
Where they
he's
put the
looking at it,
child's
and I said, "What's that?"
bones.
And he said, "Oh, don't touch that." Like, what
They
is it? I said, "That's
sacrifice at
bone
the
of a saint."
Vatican, those sick
What? He
fucks.
said, "Yeah, every Catholic church gets a bone of a saint inside their new altar."
Yeah, that's
like,
bullshit.
Not a boner, just a bone, right?
it's bone.
They put their boner in there too, probably.
And then-
Scared me there for a minute.
No, none of that going on around my life, thank God. Even though I went
Little
to all
glory
those
hole
churches,
action.
I never saw that. I guess I wasn't good looking enough. But I
Okay,
heard
now I don't have to ask that question.
Well, I've heard other priests that were my teachers ended up getting caught or in trouble.
You know, Sam Tripoli had a very experience. You know who Sam is, right?
Yeah.
He had a very similar experience in his life. Very similar life to you. And he thinks the reason why he didn't have any problem with the priest is because he's a grower, not a shower. So he thinks that really helped him out.
I'm a grower, not a shower,
I think I know the
too.
reason why. The reason why is because
Something in
they
common,
prey
Sam.
on, fatherless children.
Yeah.
Some way that they can get in and be like for me,
Father
I had
figure.
a good family upbringing. I mean, they weren't very loving to each other, but as far as outward appearance, and they were both there for me. My mom and dad were there for me. So people like that are tough
Yeah.
to compromise. But everybody I've heard of, because I've heard of a couple people that I even knew, grew up with, that were taken by either some pedophile or something, and usually they didn't have a father. I had this baseball coach. He coached me for 3 years in a row. The city loved him. He was a good guy, and we should have had a question. Now looking back, you're like, wait, this guy didn't have any kids. Why is he coaching 12-year-old baseball? But at the time, everyone just thought he's a good guy. Likes to play baseball. Likes to coach baseball.
The Graham
would
James
show
of
up-
baseball.
We would show up at practice, and he was always there with this one other kid. That we kind of learned like, oh, he usually drives into practice and drives him home because his mom works and he's a single mom. Well, come to find out, that guy's in jail now for life. And I guarantee you that he messed with that boy who he brought because that's
He's Bubba's
it's called what they
bitch
call
now.
grooming, right? So
How
I think
fitting
when
that
priests
is
work
that.
with these altar boys, they
Sometimes
can get
karma
an idea
works.
of their family life. Are they struggling? What kind of mindset do they have? And I think I was just too much of a. It just wouldn't have never worked with me. I mean, it's just even any kind of grooming or something, I just would have immediately ran to my parents screaming. I mean, I just would have. I was too alert for that.
Yeah.
So I think that's why. But so years later, when I got into the truth and I started looking into Illuminati and things like that, I'm listening. I don't know if you ever heard of Savali. She's a Illuminati defector, right?
I've
So
heard of it.
she's in an interview. She's talking, and she's talking about these seances that they used to do underneath the Vatican. And she said, and we would sacrifice babies and then crush their bones and
Wow.
then ship them to the new churches. And so he's like, what do you mean? She says, oh, well, they would take these babies' bones.
So it's
After they
not the
sacrifice
bones
the
of
saint,
saints
and they would
then.
mail it to the new Catholic
Sick
churches to put
fucks.
into their new altars.
Liars.
So then
So
I was
there's
Unless
your
that's what they
slide
that's
door
what they
again.
tell the
Slide
priests
door. So I was
anyways.
thinking, so that's not a bone of a saint. That's
No.
probably a bone of a child that's been
Wow.
sacrificed to Satan.
Wow.
I wouldn't put
Lovely.
past the Catholic Church.
Lovely.
They are.
That's why my
Terrible
mom and dad's house was so
so many-
It all
haunted,
comes
man.
back-
All those
It all comes for a circle.
crazy
full circle to
demons
something
following
that
my
we
mom home
can't talk
every
about on YouTube,
Sunday.
so we probably ought to think about.
I agree.
But
What
one
are
thing
you generally on YouTube? Real quick, I have to share the link. Are you on your watch?
I have two. The one I'm suspended from for 2 weeks. So
Oh, I'm subject to Rockman. If we're going to Rockman, I'll just do it on there.
yeah, and that's my second strike. So I'm on my ex-evangelical hour
Okay.
and my flee the walk.
I'll check it.
Evangelical
Have you ever known anybody that
hour. That's
was
where I was
Jehovah's
at.
Witness?
Yeah.
Yes, but
I saw some
not
Jehovah
anymore.
Witnesses
Small
again
town,
today at
right.
the bus station.
I've seen you kind of deal with them. What's your feeling on them?
Yeah, it's very unique
I'll have to
because
post a video of
these are
them
people
walking
that
up to them, and the
generally
guy, the bus
see
driver, gave him
sort
the
of like we
fist
did. You know,
pump.
boy, this just
I
doesn't
guess
add
that's the
up.
Jehovah Witnesses
Catholicism doesn't add
handshake.
up.
It's a fist pump.
Protestantism. And then they have these guys come to their doors and they start talking about, oh, we just take the Bible literally. We don't do any of this nonsense. And it's very, very. I tried to join the Jehovah's Witnesses, but I didn't get through because I, came across, you know, kinks in the or chinks in the armor before I could get there. But it is very people that want to study. It's I call it like a faux enlightenment. You jump over
Okay.
one fence from mainline Christianity. You jump over a fence, and then there's this other fence set up that's called the Watchtower. So you think you got free, but you really didn't. So you're just in another branch of Christianity. So a lot of these people are very studious, but then they say, "Oh, hey, I already got out of Christianity." So it's almost even harder to speak to them because they got out of Christianity, so they're even smarter than the ones that didn't get out of Christianity. But they're brilliant people, they're dedicated people, and I've had probably at least 50 people write me and say, "Jeff, please talk about the Watchtower. I barely made it out. I know people that are still in there." So we're doing a whole channel dedicated to that.
Oh, you started that. That's a good idea. And then the other one as well.
You're logging, just lagging.
Sorry, the other one was ex-evangelical, right?
Ex-evangelical, right? Ex-evangelical hour.
Oh, yes. No, I just haven't known any that, besides the ones that come to the door, and my wife laughed pretty hard the last one that came in. Said, I'm like, oh, you guys read the Bible? I'm like, yes. I said, did you know that the earth doesn't move and that the earth's flat? They're like, each person can believe what they. I just wanted to get out of here. So I can turn the tables on.
I'm going to go ahead and thank everybody on Ex-Evangelical Hour and on Flee the Watchtower. Thank you for being here. We're going to go ahead and leave those channels.
Just mic dropped right out. So it was a short and sweet show tonight.
Our greatest strength is our 56.
And that's it for tonight. Short and sweet. Late night with DAGR, as well as late night in the Heartland. But very powerful show. For the full show on Rockman with Jaron and Jeff, they got into some really deep subjects after leaving YouTube, where you can actually speak freely and not have to worry about being censored or getting a strike for medical misinformation or other misinformation, about who and what and stuff we can't talk about. The people that you can't criticize, all that kind of stuff, the Soviet regime and all that good stuff. So anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I'm guessing everybody was tired tonight. They went to bed early. So I'm actually not too tired, so I have to go do my laundry. Just gotta go put it in the dryer and get ready for work tomorrow. Back to work. So yeah, so hopefully it won't be too rough of a day tomorrow. It's gonna be a little warmer tomorrow. So we're doing a big project, my buddies. So lots going on here in Kanadistan, the capital of Kanadistan, and just trying to stay out of trouble. We'll see how long I can manage that. So not going to BC as of right now. My buddy didn't where he was working didn't work out, so gonna be sticking around here for a while longer. I'm gonna be starting a beginner boxing lesson thanks to Soldier On. They also got my tickets to the Sens and Capitals game recently. Ran into an older gentleman, a veteran, in front of Walmart last week. Well, I guess this week. And he had a Soldier On hat on. And I chatted him up for a bit. Really nice guy. He has cancer as well. He has lymphoma. 82 or 83, I think he said he was. Really nice guy. Chatted with him for a few minutes. And he was just finishing his shopping. So it was pretty cool to run into him. I want a Soldier On hat. I went to the hockey, now I'm going to the boxing thing, so maybe they'll give me a Soldier On hat and shirt. Maybe I'll have to email Krista and see if she can hook me up. As much as I like wearing the Canada swag from Dollarama, wouldn't mind some Soldier On gear. Anyways. Nice. So yeah, so that's what's going on with me. Back to work tomorrow. Steph said it should be like maybe 4 or 5 days, and then back to Mr. Karam's to finish off there, and then his cottage got a little bit of work to do there, and that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, guys. See you soon. Probably back tomorrow night with another late night with Dagger. Hopefully it's a little longer tomorrow night.